1, 2.
Do you want me to kick it off?
What are we? Are we doing the catch up? Aren't
Yeah.
we? Sorry. Yeah. Go. Yep.
No, I mean, you can just hijack the show. I might actually keep that in.
I dare you. Fine. You take us away. You're the lead. Let's see what you got.
Welcome back to the catch up.
That was shit.
That was so, you know what, you threw me off when you jumped in acting like this was your show.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. We had the Brew Crew catch up on Saturday, which was unreal. Shout out to all those that came down to the hotel there, watched the footy across the 3 games. You came down, Liana came down. She's my favourite, by the way. I love her.
My bestie.
Yeah, she's great.
It was nice having her there because people often ask me how I got into rugby league, and I always bring up her family.
She's the link
because her dad would take us to Souths games growing up in high school, and that was why I essentially started supporting them. And when she's in the room, it's like It's a full circle moment for me every time.
I'm a big fan of good humans. She's a good human.
She is a good human.
Big fan. But yeah, Brew Crew was fantastic. Shout out to everyone that came along. I had a great time. The head was very sore on Sunday. I'll tell you that much for free, Cat. But yeah, great times. We had a few, cash giveaways and everything there. Just one of the perks of the Brew Crew on Saturday.
I got pretty close to one of those cash giveaways.
Yeah, you did actually.
The second one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mitch Moore hit it on the head.
Previous producer of Rugby League.
Producer. Yeah, one of the greats, Mitchy Moore. So congratulations to him. And our other 2 prizes, I think it was Maddie and David, who came up with awards there too. So sensational stuff. Shout out to the Mitch Hotel in Alexandria. Always doing great work. Make sure you sneak on down there.
Can I also just say Mitch himself, really good at Supercoach. He told me he's in the top 1,000.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Mitchy boy. How good's that? Love to hear that.
Yeah.
Very good. And Mitch, not to be confused with the Mitch Hotel.
Yes.
Also great. They do a $10 margarita deal on a Friday afternoon. Yeah. So we're actually going to take the bloke crew with wives down there one day. You're more than happy to join.
Thank you. I'm not a wife, but I feel like I could probably fit in just fine.
I think you fit in just fine. You'll be right.
Yeah. Be nice to hang around some level-headed people too when the wives are there.
Yeah, always. So, good weekend, great weekend. Footy was fantastic. Plenty happening. Injuries in Supercoach, a lot happening. The rugby league world, there's been a bit happening too, Catman.
There has. So I thought for the catch-up today, let's kind of dive into some of the biggest stories from over the weekend, some of the stuff you would have seen on social media. Others, I just want to get your hot take on certain re-signings and whatnot, one of which I know you're a big fan of, but I'll bring that up in a moment. But I want to start with Foz's 300th game. Kieran Foran playing for the Titans now. He's obviously got a lengthy history in rugby league, a lengthy career. He's done a lot. He's well loved amongst many, many fans of different teams. And it was really nice to see the turnout for his 300th. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. Obviously, Foz, for him to get to 300 games is unbelievable. Like there was what feels like from memory a 5-year period where the bloke couldn't stay uninjured for more than 3 weeks. It was just injury after injury after injury for Foz. That's not to mention Foz has, and I think it's fantastic how openly he talks about just the demons he's fought off field.
My gosh, you can't even imagine.
And, some of those are 10 years ago now. It is just the stuff that he went through, especially when he was at the Parramatta Eels and the Warriors and everything, all the stuff that was just boiling below the surface that we didn't know about. Just incredible to hear he talk about that and just how close he got to absolute rock bottom. He's also had, a lot of challenges this year as well, family-wise. So, Foz, as you said, Kat, I think you summed it up really well when you said loved by so many people in rugby league. Just it's hard not to love Kieran Foran. Even like back in the day, I think Tom and Eddie have changed a little bit, to be fair, and I hate to give them credit for it, but everyone used to fucking hate Manly. Hate Manly.
We talked about this actually, I think last week, maybe it was offline.
Yeah.
But just saying, and I think the Travojevic brothers have had a lot to do with the reputation change of Manly, because you don't see people hating on them like they used to.
Yeah, and the Manly Seagulls used to take a lot of pride in everyone hating them. It was you hate us, we hate you too.
Yeah, I actually said this, Ella Kazma came to the Roo Crew meetup on Saturday, who, if you don't know, is probably one of the biggest Manly Seagulls supporters I've ever met in my life, other than her parents, who she was basically born into this supporting Manly cult that she calls it. But she kind of misses when everybody hated them. She's noticed the changes as well.
Yeah, I think Ella's probably played a role in that as well. Turning people, everyone loves Ella. But like I look back to the mid, early 2010s and whatnot when Foz first came in, and like everyone hated Manly, but Foz was it was so hard not to respect the guy just because of how tough he played. He really did, and he doesn't get enough credit for it, but he changed the game in his own little way, in the way that, you watch now without getting real X's and O's and boring like that, but like you get how halves dig into the line now, and you look at Isaiah Katoa, how much space he creates because he plays so straight over the advantage line, and Foz was really the first guy to do that properly, and he got absolutely belted for it time after time. Scope's a really good person to talk to. He's playing on that edge, and you hear Scope talk about it, and he's like, mate, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I had all this space all of a sudden. And guys like Brett Stewart had brilliant careers off the back of the space that Foz constantly created. And, we talk about his body not holding up during that period. It's because he got belted and bashed so much during that time because he was just tougher than anyone. Obviously, and like I think people forget that it's crazy to look back on that premiership they won in 2011. Like, him and Ches were 21-year-olds.
That's so wild.
The two of them winning a premiership together, and it's crazy because you look on the other side of the field. The four halves in that game were Ches and Foz, who were both 21, 22, whatever, very young. Sean Johnson in his first or maybe second season of first grade or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then his halves partner was James Maloney, who was also pretty young and before he really established himself and came out of nowhere. So crazy to look back at that grand final and how those careers have played out and what they all went on to achieve and whatnot. But yeah, Foz, he's obviously bounced around a number of clubs. He was the captain of the Kiwis at one point, which was sensational stuff. And now going up to the Gold Coast, the influence he's having up there, I disagree with where they're playing him at the moment. They're playing him on the right edge. I'll be playing him on the left.
Yeah.
It didn't shock me whatsoever. As soon as Kieran Foran arrived there last year, Dave Fafita has his best season on record. They now move Kieran Foran to the other side of the field. Dave Fafita is a little bit lost at the moment. That doesn't shock me in the slightest. Foz, a tremendous player, tough as nails, and I think that there's a lot of guys that would be in first grade right now who, as young guys, would have tried to build a lot of their game on Kieran Foran, and he'll never be discussed as the Lockiers and the Cronks and these sort of guys, but the influence he had and just how tough he played, I imagine it'd be tough to find a guy that's more respected than Foz.
No, and I think to your point, it's the sportsmanship, which is prevalent both as a fan, and then you can also see that mateship that he has with those Manly boys. The fact that DCE and the Travojeviches, a number of the boys all went down to Cronulla for that game. Was it Cronulla? Wollongong, sorry.
Yeah.
They were playing in Wollongong. I mean, that's unreal. They all went to support. I remember the camera panning over and you just see this big crew of Manly boys. And then I was on Reddit and just reading some of the commentary, and people were just like, it's hard to hate this team when you see support like that.
Yeah. Shout out to Lockie Croker wearing his punters and dribblers hat as well. I don't think he's ever taken it off his head.
Stop it.
Yeah, and, the thing that I found most amusing, I posted on my Instagram story, it's not a big deal, but like that Foz is at the Gold Coast Titans now and Ches was there to watch him. They won a comp 11 years. Like Ches, when you think about what he did to the Gold Coast Titans, backflipping on that deal, that was never to be forgotten. And here we are in 2024, the Gold Coast Titans are posting a picture of Jolly Cherry Evans.
Would that be the first time they've posted him?
Without a
legitimate photo of him.
Like a legitimate photo. It's very rare you see clubs post legitimate photos of players from other teams.
Yeah.
To post a photo like that of someone like Ches who backflipped on them and caused them so much heartache, it just shows you the sort of guy that Foz is.
Yeah,
and just how he's just able to bring people, clubs, whatever it is together. So congratulations to Foz, a brilliant player. I actually started following us on Instagram about 3 months ago, and he was one of those guys that I saw and I was like, fuck, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because I respect this guy so much and I've got so much time for him, and I feel like Foz has achieved a lot in our game, but I'm very interested to see what he does post rugby league. I think it'll be something in the mental health space, and I think it'll be something involving the game. But I just think Foz is a guy that when he walks into a room, I just think he would just demand respect automatically. And I just think he's going to do some special things post game, whether it's coaching or whatever. I think it'll be in the mental health space somewhere. And I'm really looking forward to see what Foz does, but one of the champions.
Me too. I can definitely see that. And I think it would be a shame if he didn't stay involved in the game to some extent, because I think he can have a very positive influence in areas that need more, such as mental health. And I think you look at a lot of these players trying to find their purpose around the game.
Yeah.
They all know what to do when they're on the field. It's when they're off it. What do I do? How do I find my kind of purpose, like I said, outside of the sport itself? And I think he's the type of guy that you could look up to for that.
Just on Foz as well, and it's something that I look at and it's not spoken about a lot, but personally I think it matters heaps. I look at this Penrith dynasty right now and we all give applaudance to Ivan Cleary, Nath Cleary, these guys. I think one guy that doesn't get enough respect for this dynasty is James Maloney. He was the experienced half that brought Nath Cleary and Jerome Luai into first grade. And you got to remember, James Maloney left in 2019. Literally the year before this started, he'd taken those two under his wings, taught them, blah, blah, blah. And then they get I just think this Gold Coast Titans squad right now, they're in a position where if in a few years' time they're very successful competing for premierships, which I think they've got the squad to be able to do that with some of the stars they've got there, I think we'll look back in time and go, okay, I think a lot of that had to do with the influence of Kieran Foran as well. And I hope that's how it plays out. I really do.
No, me too. And I was just looking at the video of the boys all congratulating him at the end of the game. Oh,
special.
Nice moments.
Yeah.
This is what we love to see. Now, you mentioned previously that when Foz followed you on Instagram, it was this amazing feeling. And I feel like you know where this is going.
This was gonna happen. Proceed.
Now, another player that I know, and I hope one day does click that follow button, because he should. I think he did by accident at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a thing of the past. Let's talk about Shaun Johnson, because the Warriors announced that the next game, it will be played in the Shaun Johnson Stadium in New Zealand. Can we just talk about how cool that is?
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm sorry, guys. I got a bit of a dry throat. I'm extremely thirsty after Kat said she'd get me a bottle of water on her fourth lunch break today. She didn't. Had to get my little stab back at you. Yeah, Shaun Johnson obviously retiring at the end of the season, which unfortunately isn't round 27. It is round 26, so they've got the bye. They play the Sharkies in round 26, which I'm hoping will be the SJ Cup. It's unbelievable how that's played out. But this week, they play in Auckland for the final time, and shout out to One who have shout out to Mount Smart, who's obviously allowed the stadium to be renamed Shaun Johnson Stadium, which I think is a brilliant little touch. They play the Doggies, who are in red hot form. I think the Warriors will get up for an upset here for SJ. I really do. So it is sensational, and I love, once again, similar to, you know, we've spoken the last few days about Benji and him in the, I spoke on Bloke the other day about him in the Hall of Fame, that he might not have the achievements of the greatest players of all time, but it's the influence.
For sure.
And Shaun Johnson's exactly like that. We spoke about SJ last week, but full credit to the Warriors. I always knew that they'd have something special lined up.
Yeah, they don't miss the mark.
They don't miss. They don't miss. They lead from the front, and if your club isn't trying to be like the Warriors as far as social media and everything goes, they've missed. Yeah. They've missed the shit.
Yeah,
big time.
Absolutely. And I think they set the bar for commemorating like the history element and like the stuff that everybody can. It's the warm and fluff. Yeah. It's the fluffy stuff. It is the fluffy stuff, but it's got depth to it in the sense that people just want to see Shaun Johnson being acknowledged in this manner in his final games. And they don't have to do it, but the fact that they do it sets the bar for other clubs to do the same thing when moments like this happen.
And there's, to use your words, there's fluffy stuff with depth, but the Warriors, they make it look cool.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's the big thing. And that sounds so stupid and high schooly, but it matters without a doubt. And the Warriors, they are absolutely knocking it out of the park at the moment. And with James Fisher-Harris arriving next year, I know the side will be very different without SJ and AFB. It's a real sort of changing of the guard moment. But with Fisher-Harris arriving, it's still very exciting times over there. Heading to Vegas, I can't wait for that. So,
cool.
But yeah, the Sean Johnson Stadium, I absolutely love it. And they're going to be proper scenes. I think it's the Friday 6 p.m. game this week. Check your, I was going to say your TV guides, but they probably won't do that. They'll probably just check on their phones. More likely,
check.
won't they, Kat?
Yeah, I can check.
You miss TV guides?
Nope, never read them. They literally remind me of my grandmother's house.
You never read it? You never used to use them?
I think we're showing our age gap, which is
months, not days.
Excuse me, it's not months.
How big is it? Was it a year?
It's 2 years.
Okay, well.
You were in the TV guide era. I wasn't. That's the difference.
If the gap between us was a baby, there would still be people that would say 24 months.
That's ridiculous. I don't talk in months like that.
Bit of nerve.
Yeah, you did a little bit. It's Friday 6 p.m. is the game.
Good to say.
And I good luck to the Warriors, but this Bulldogs side, they're different gravy at the moment. I think they will be very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, emotion's a funny thing. We'll see. Okay. I'm going to back the Wars in a little upset there to get up for it, but we'll see.
Okay. All right, let's move on to this is what I was alluding to earlier. I said that there was one particular re-signing in this episode today that I felt you would have a few comments about, and that is the re-signing of Connor Watson, because we know how much you love Connor Watson. I think the Rugby League Guru could also be a Connor Watson fan page sometimes, I'm not going to lie. But between Connor Watson being re-signing, so is Spencer Leniu, which I personally think it's a great re-signing. I know there was some question marks around his initial arrival and his debut wasn't fantastic for the club. It definitely was a bit controversial and whatnot, but I think he's proven with his time at the Roosters this season and his Origin performances that he is a gun player, and they'd be silly not to hold on to him.
Yeah, I personally thought after Vegas, and I'll be honest with you, I thought there was not a hope in hell he would be staying at the Roosters. I personally just thought like the stuff in Vegas was fucked, and I just thought the writing was on the wall, especially when James Fisher-Harris left the Panthers. I thought, okay, he'll end up back there now. And it's crazy. Like, as I said, I cannot push back hard enough against the stuff in Vegas. But the way that Spencer Leniu was viewed from then to 4 months later being a State of Origin hero, it is one of the wildest transitions I've ever seen. And I'll tell you what, when we went into Bloke in a Bar to pick our Origin sides before game one, and Matty the Waterboy he was the only one that had Spencer Leniu in his team. And I said, why? And he spoke about him, and he pretty much said everything that I think of Spencer Leniu now. And I just looked at Matty and went, nah, it's not the right pick. He's not the right person.
Really?
It's not. And I then got, 30 minutes into game one and thought, holy fuck, I'm probably never going to leave this guy out of an Origin side ever again. The turnaround in Spencer Leniu has been tremendous. He is a current 3-time premiership winner. He'll be looking to win a 4th with the Sydney Roosters this year, re-signing for another 2 years. JWH, he's obviously leaving at the end of the season. Spencer Leniu the last few weeks has been starting. I'm very keen to see how he elevates himself over the next few years, because it's sort of lost in translation a little bit. But in Vegas, obviously all that drama happened. The day before the game, I'm at the captain's run, and Trent Robinson literally gave a speech saying, we have brought Spencer Leniu to become our starting front rower after Jared. That's what he said, and then it was all lost in translation. I was standing there going, fuck, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
And then I posted the quote, and it went huge that day. And then 24 hours later, it got absolutely hammered with this age world, this age world. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of this post. It's not worth all this drama. But yeah, he's obviously had to go away, work on himself a little bit, get a lot of education and whatnot. And for the Roosters, they only keep you if they need you. They don't. They only keep guys that they need, and Spencer's one of them. So congratulations to him. Connor, I'm so happy for this guy. Just the amount of injuries and everything he's had throughout his career, the amount of times he's been fucked around in different positions, all this sort of shit.
Yeah.
I say it all the time, but it wasn't that long ago. Like he spent, I think it was January last year when the Sydney test was on, ACL or whatever it was, gone for the season. I remember standing with Connor in November last year talking to him, and literally his legs were two different shapes because one of them he just lost all of his muscle mass.
Oh my gosh.
So then his rehab was essentially strengthening one leg to get it to, just insanity. We get to round one, he misses the team. He has to go back and play New South Wales Cup. All of a sudden, then he's playing Origin. Now he's re-signed for a couple of years, and even crazier, like he's the lock forward for the Sydney Roosters. Victor Radley's like he has moved Victor Radley's position. Victor Radley was the best lock in rugby league 3 or 4 years ago. And now he's completely moved positions. It is wild. So congratulations to Connor. And, you talk about the good guys in rugby league, Connor Watson, one of the absolute champions.
Yeah, I mean, Trent Robinson has nothing but positive things to say about Connor and his leadership and his ability to kind of put the needs of the team ahead of his own. And I think that shows in his recovery and his return to the game and his commitment to being the best he can be for that team. And props to him. And speaking of props, Leniu has definitely put himself as one of the best forward props in the game right now. And I think regardless of where you stand on what happened at the start of the year, you cannot deny how talented he is as a footballer. And I would like to think that was a big lesson for him too around life, and he learnt some lessons and hopefully has put those to practice, and that's why we've seen a different Spencer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All very valid points. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And then let's move on to a few other signings. So Lachlan Hubner, Max McCarthy and Jerome Burns have signed with South Sydney Rabbitohs. Lachlan Hubner I had heard about through some of the Dolphins team, just saying that he was a young gun essentially and that they were almost sad to be letting him go because they could see his potential. So I'm quite excited that we get him as well.
Yeah, a very young guy. He has been in Q Cup. His numbers from Queensland Cup and his performances have been very, very good. In first grade, I'll be honest, when I've seen him in first grade, he hasn't blown me away. But normally, Kat, when guys are doing really well in reserve grade, it's just a matter of time until they get used to first grade. And for me, the biggest takeaway from this is, okay, like this isn't South signing this guy. This is obviously Wayne saying, hey, I've got this kid up here. He's a bit green. I believe in him. Let's find a spot for him.
Yeah,
so
Wayne has specifically requested that Lachlan join him at South Sydney.
If Wayne's given the tick of approval, you don't need to hear any more.
Yeah, agreed. And then there's also Val Holmes. I don't think we touched on this at all.
Can I just, before we move off Val Holmes, the other two, Jerome Burns, who's coming down from the from the Dolphins as well. He obviously played in the trial at the start of the year. He looked very, very talented. Got a very sort of Jerome Luai-esque sort of style to him. Sort of jags off
appropriately
looks
named.
very talented. Yeah, well, they actually look very similar too with the hair and everything. They're very, very similar. Max McCarthy. Now, Max McCarthy is playing for the Cronulla Sharks New South Wales Cup. Shout out to the Cronulla Sharks SG ball and jersey flag I've seen him in. Shout out to the short ball. Go and have a look. He's actually got some highlights up there. And it's funny enough, I was watching Josh play Wentworth Park about 6 weeks ago against the Sharkies. And there was actually one kid out there that I thought, there was two guys of the Sharkies did really well. The lock forward, whose name escapes me, and the edge back row. And he actually scored a try down Josh's edge, and the short ball put up a little highlights package, and it was actually that try from that moment. So I'd actually watched this kid play weeks ago. When the post came up about him joining, I didn't recognize the name, and then I watched the clip and I thought that was that kid that I liked from that game. So big, tall, rangy thing. Looks to be a very good build for the age he's at. He'll only get bigger. I like the look of him as well. So they're not huge names, but all these guys start somewhere, and how they get under Wayne, not bad.
No, it doesn't need to be. And I think the fact that Wayne himself is requesting that these boys be signed is a great sign in itself. So I mentioned Val Holmes as well. Let's touch on that briefly. That's the last one we'll cover. But he's signed with the Dragons on a 3-year deal. Did you see this one coming? Did you think that he would leave the Cowboys?
No, I didn't. I thought Val Holmes had finished his career at the Cowboys, and by the sounds of it, Val Holmes thought he'd finish his career at the Cowboys as well. this is just the reality of first grade football. This is why we have such a good competition because of the salary cap, and you have to make tough decisions. This is why we have, there's a usual like 3 or 4 teams that are in the top 8, but every year teams are changing and whatnot. So yeah, I'm sad to see Val leave, but I don't think it's a bad decision by the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I look at their squad. I look at guys like Zach Labert, Purdue, Valia, Tommy Chester, and I go, you know what? I think Kempy put it best yesterday. He said you can either keep Val for $900K or you can probably sign 2 of these guys for $400K. And I think I'd rather lean into the younger guys coming through. You've got to make these tough decisions at some point. And I think the Dragons, you got to remember, when Val won his premiership with the Cronulla Sharks in 2016, that was under Shane Flanagan. Shane Flanagan then moved into fullback for the next 2 years, and he absolutely killed it. He obviously then went over to the New York Jets and whatnot, which just feels like an age ago now. But Val, obviously, he's got experience with Shane Flanagan there. He's actually linking up with Jack Bird as well, who I think – just running through my head that old Sharks team, I think they are the only 2 players left in the NRL from that Sharks team. And they're both back together under Shane Flanagan.
That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah. I'm thinking, I think they are the only 2 that are still running around. So, and Chad Townsend, who's going to the Roosters, to be fair. Not many of them left. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the Dragons play him. Is he too old to play fullback? I wouldn't say no, but maybe there's an argument there. I mean, some weeks I think Flanagan loves Sloan, then other weeks I think he wants to strangle him. I'm not too sure where they sit week to week.
He probably doesn't know either.
I don't think he knows either yet. But I think Val Holmes is a very good signing. Just think attacking-wise, he just adds so much. They're going to lose.
And he had a beautiful game over the weekend too.
He had a cracking game over the weekend.
Game. Look, so it's a good, that's what you want to see. If you've just signed him and you see a performance like that, you're feeling pretty good about your decision.
I will say this for Val, though. I very, very highly doubt that Flano is going to allow him to defend the same way he has in the Cowboys, because that's not the Dragons at the moment. You look at their centres, Moses Sully in particular, who's been an absolute juggernaut in defence this year, and he knows this Dragons side, if they're going to concede a stack of points, they're going to be in trouble. So I do think that'll be a challenge for Val that I think will really push him. Yeah. Whether he plays him at centre or not, if he plays him at wing, that's actually a completely different story as well. And I'm not quite sure. You got to remember Zach Lomax is leaving. So,
of course. I mean, and then the kicking role is there as well.
Yeah, the goal kicking as well is big because Lomax hits him from all over the place, as does Val. So maybe he just subs straight in and he jumps on the wing, because you have got really quality centres there as well.
This is true. He very well could be a replacement for Lomax.
He could be a direct 1-for-1 replacement. So we'll see. Regardless, signing Val Holmes, I don't think is ever going to be a bad signing.
No, I don't think so either. Okay. Now, we mentioned the Cowboys game. We watched that at the Roo Crew meetup. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit more about the Roo Crew meetup and what the Saturday night was like?
Yeah. So we had the Roo Crew, obviously our Patreon group that we've had since the start of the year, since we got back from Vegas, only since round 1. So we've only had it for about 23 weeks or so. And we got together on Saturday, gave everyone about a month and a half heads up or so for everyone to come in and have a few beers, have a couple of pizzas, sink a few drinks. And we had 3 games of footy up on the big screen. We had 3 $150 cash giveaway on that day. So I was saying to Kat the other day, if you signed up for the Roo Crew on absolute day 1, I think you paid a grand total of $40 so far, and much. you without a doubt could have drank that on the weekend. I think most of you did. Shout out to you. I know I did. And then 3 times there was 3 cash giveaway for $150. So. Mate, the Roo Crew, that's along with all the extra content you get, first dibs in the merchandise. I loved how many of these jumpers were getting around. The Roo Crew obviously had first dibs. They are live on the website now too, guys. The link is in the description if you want to grab yours. I reckon they'll be gone by the end of the week with the way they're filtering out. But yeah, super exciting, Kat. And just I've had bloke events. I've had Hello Sport events. This is our first real guru event.
Yeah.
And without sounding corny, community is just unmatched. It really is. And it was it was really cool. The amount of guys that just showed up to this, just won out, just came along and felt confident enough that, hey, these are like-minded people who enjoy what I do. We have something in common, whether it be Guru, Rugby League, Supercoach, all 3, whatever it is. It was unreal.
It is nice. You always notice at events like this that there's always a mix of bloke and punters and dribblers and guru, and everybody's got a bit of everything in terms of merch. But I had some great conversations with some of the Roo crew. They're all awesome.
Yeah.
They are absolute footy nerds.
Love it.
And you love it. Like you've fostered a community like that, and that is definitely what it is. But they're awesome, and it was so great to have them around and meet them and put faces to a lot of the names that we see in all our Q&As and everything like that. I think that tops it. And then of course our favorite Caleb, who hung around to help you pack down at the end of the night.
Shout out
What
to
a guy.
Caleb. Good man.
What a guy.
I walked over to a table at one point and they said to me, Guru, who are the top 5'8" of the NRL era that haven't played Origin? And I just went, oh, this is me. I fucking love this shit.
Because
let's
let's
get
be
even
real.
more niche.
I've never asked you a question like that.
Never.
You'd
you know
love
what?
if I was asking you
I'm
questions.
not sure
like
if it
that.
happens at any other event other than a Rugby League Guru Patreon group meetup, which I absolutely fucking froth. And it was funny. I had a few mates there that are like my genuine mates that came along, and I walked back to their table and I was like, what about this question I just got asked? And then we argued about it for 30 minutes.
That's
It was
unreal.
Fucking great. Absolutely loved it.
That's so good.
If you want to join the Roo Crew, guys, we're still going to have plenty of content coming throughout the off season. You get first dibs on merchandise, and there'll be something coming around Christmas time that arrived today, Kat, which I absolutely fucking love them. We've only got about 50 of them. But those things that arrived today from one SD, they are all time.
They are so nice.
I'm heaps into them. Kat almost broke everything in the studio with it. But anyway,
Chill.
I'm very, very excited about them. So the Roo Crew link is in the description. You get first dibs on all of our merchandise. You get to come to days like this or that we had on Saturday. And once again, shout out to the Mitch Hotel doing great things. Unreal.
I love it.
Are we done?
We are. Did you want to do a guess who?
If you got one loaded, I'll do one.
I've got one.
Okay, let's do it.
I've got one. Okay. Now I will let you know. I couldn't think of a name for the life of me, and I should have thrown it out to the Roo Crew and in a little secret message because I'm sure someone would have given me some niche name. I actually asked Chat GP. Am I okay?
GPT.
Thank you. I'm just stumbling on my words.
I'm the tech guy around here.
ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT for a niche player from 2010.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And I was like, let's make this fun.
From 2010. Fuck,
Yeah,
all right.
let's see. Okay. Let's go. I played for 4 NRL clubs.
Okay, yep.
Do you want to know the clubs?
We'll come back to that.
Okay. One of the clubs includes the Manly Sea Eagles.
So 4 NRL clubs. One of them was the Manly Sea Eagles around the 2010 period.
But he was playing in 2010, but we're talking like that period of time.
Okay, sweet. Yep.
I grew up in Toowoomba in Queensland.
Okay, so a Queenslander that played for 4 NRL clubs, including, did you say the Manly Sea Eagles? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep, keep going.
I played 5'8" and or halfback.
Oh, okay. 4 NRL clubs, including the Manly Sea Eagles, 2010.
Go further back than 2010.
Have you ever heard me talk about this guy before?
Never.
Is it Michael Witt? Is it Witty? Shout out to Michael Witt. He's a real estate agent up there in Queensland. He's been on the podcast before, Witty. I absolutely love him. He's a champion. He's actually running his own protein business now, and he actually sent me some things the other day. How good?
I'm actually in shock. I actually thought I might outsmart you with this one.
Michael Witt's a legend.
He also was on the sexiest NRL player.
Yeah, he did that
list,
photo shoot. Yeah, he's a good looking rooster, Witty. Yeah, he's actually. I was actually talking to him the other day. He's going to try and jump on some podcasts.
Of course, you were talking to him the other day. This is crazy.
Now, I will say this to you, Kat. I don't want you to think that was a shit pick. That was just a wild coincidence because he is such a niche.
He's
pick,
niche.
Witty.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. What did he play for? Parramatta,
Warriors,
Manly.
and he finished at the Dragons. But after he spent a period of time overseas.
Yeah, the Dragons. Yeah. Whitty.
I
Michael
can't
Witt
believe you got this.
was best known. Have you ever seen the footage, Kat? When was he at the Warriors? Have you got it in front of you there? What years was he at the Warriors?
07 to 09.
09 final series it was. I'm pretty confident. 09 final series, what they used to do, you know, in the finals now, how it's 1 versus 4. Mm-hmm. It used to be called the McIntyre system. They used to do 1 versus 8 week 1, and 8 never fucking won. They got blitzed every time.
Who the hell decided that?
I didn't mind it. 1v8, 2v7, and just the highest place winner got the week off.
Oh.
So what you hypothetically could get is that if all the games were upsets, if all the games were upsets, 5th and 6th could have hypothetically had a week off.
Okay.
After finals week 1. It was pretty wild. And
that is wild.
So the
you
highest
almost
place,
want to finish at 5th or 6th.
Well, no, because then you got to play.
Oh, whoever wins of the.
You got to play the higher team at their home ground. So you want to finish as high as you can. So top 4 all got a home game against the bottom 4. The 2 highest place winners got a week off. The 2 lowest place losers were kicked out. So you could finish 5th and bow out in the first week. You could finish 4th and bow out in the first week if it all went to shit. But yeah, anyway, Michael Witt went down for the Warriors and they beat the Melbourne Storm. This was like peak Melbourne Storm. This was GI, Slater, Cronk, Smith, and he got over the try line with about 2 seconds to go. And instead of just putting the ball down, he held the ball up like that scene out of Lion King and waved it around. And then he went to put the ball down and Cameron Smith slid in and he almost knocked the ball out of his hand. It's a really it's a pretty famous moment at Olympic Park, I think it was, which that stadium's gone now. But yeah, Whitty, well known for that moment. One of the greats. I'll actually get up his give him a little shout out here, Whitty, because we might turn this into content, Kathmandu, because that was fucking hilarious. Whitty has just started his own, or he's part of.
Is it the real estate?
Yeah, Michael Witt Real Estate, but he's also just started, he sent it to me the other day, their own brand of protein that they've been doing really good things. It is called Vital Man _AU. So Vital Man. Go and have a look at that, doing some great men's stuff. I actually posted the stuff that he sent me the other day, and then I actually...
And that was Michael Witt's product.
That was Michael Witt's product. Yeah. And if you actually remember that thing that I posted, I wrote in the corner, if you know, you know, and I cut out the picture of him holding the football.
Yeah, well, guess who didn't know?
Guess who didn't know? Oh, Whitty, one of the all-time greats. We love to see it. That was a really good one, Kat. That was just very, very unlucky. It's a very small world at times.
You're telling me.
Very tough. Yeah. How good.
Well, thank you so much for ruining. No, just kidding.
That was great.
That was great. Thank you for catching up with me, for providing all of your hot takes on everything that is breaking in the rugby league world. But until next week.
Hey, is there some soccer on or something?
Look at you running the show.
Right.
It's like you do this for a living or something. I did want to touch on something.
Yeah.
You have a Premier League team now.
Yeah. They are called
Ipswich Town.
Now,
you claimed Ipswich Town because of your connection to Massimo Luongo.
Yes.
Do you want to explain that just briefly if anyone has missed what the connection is?
God, you say his name so much better than I do. I sound like a fucking bogan when I say it. Yeah, I went to high school with Massimo. I think we've spoken about this on the catch-up before. One of the greats, very, very talented, just incredible. And I don't watch a heap, but if I had to pick a football team, I would go with them.
No, this is what I'm saying is you now have a Premier League team because they were promoted last season.
And
my team is Liverpool, and guess who played each other on Saturday night?
Yeah, the two of them. I would guess Liverpool won, but...
What do you think the score was?
Well, it's not really an even playing field, is it? Is my understanding. Or
they were promoted fair and square.
Yeah,
what do you think the score was?
But there's...
What do you think the score was?
I think the score would have been like 3 or 4-0 or something.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You need to have more faith in your team than that. It was 2-0.
2-0. Okay.
It was 2-0. And it was both second half goals from Liverpool. We had Diogo Jota and Mohamed Salah, my Egyptian brother, score. So,
I know that name.
yeah.
Yeah. Is it a bit of a touchy thing about there being not an even playing field, or is that?
No, I think we wouldn't really say that. I think it's a reality that if you are a newly promoted team, that it takes a minute to adjust to the Premier League. But there are plenty of teams that get promoted and stay up there.
Yeah, okay.
So
will they stay up there?
I don't really know enough about Ipswich Town. I mean, they had a really great run into promotion, so that's always a good sign. I guess we have to see how they perform.
Man, the relegation thing is so fucking
It's so
wild
interesting,
to me
isn't
still.
it?
I just don't think I would ever be comfortable with it because I haven't been brought up used to it. Because to me, it just seems insanity.
No, I know, because the West Tigers would have been relegated so long ago.
Heaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and we might never have seen this Bulldogs team because they might still be playing in
had
New
it not
South
been,
Wales
yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. It's very interesting. I love it.
It is interesting. But anyway, so we now have a Premier League rivalry, so we'll be keeping an eye on performances there. I'll be sure to let you know, because I imagine I'll have to let you know.
I imagine you will.
If Ipswich win or Massimo Luangwa scores or whatever the goal is there. But there we go. We've actually wrapped it now.
We've actually wrapped it. Shout out to you, Whitty. Thank you, mate.
Shout out to you, Whitty. Hope
Appreciate
to meet
that.
you too one day, since you're such a friend of the show. Didn't even know.
How good.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you for the catch up next week.
Later.